I'd like to bring the Monday, February 2nd, 2026 Township of Hamilton Committee meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by transmitting notice of this meeting to the press of Atlantic City, the Star Ledger, and the Atlantic County Record on January the 6th, 2026. Mr. Aiken?
Here.
Mr. Cheek?
Here.
Ms. Thompson?
Here.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Here.
Mayor Patali?
Here. We have a moment of silence for private reflection. Thank you. Proclamations. Black History Month, Dr. Barbara Gaba.
Gabba.
Okay. And Dr. Witherspoon.
Thank you very much. Whereas we would like to recognize Dr. Barbara Gaba during Black History Month, Dr. Barbara Gaba was appointed the 9th president of Atlantic Cape Community College in January 2017, becoming the first female and the first African American president in the college's 50th-year history. With extensive experience in higher education, she is deeply committed to the mission of the community college to provide affordable educational pathways for student success. Whereas, prior to joining Atlantic Cape, Dr. Gaba served as provost and associate vice president for academic affairs at Union County College. She also served as dean of academic and student support services at Camden County College, and associate director of the Office of the Board of Affairs and Government Relations at the New Jersey Department of Higher Education. Whereas, during her 40-year career, she has served as a teacher, researcher, and administrator, and has been devoted to working with underserved, underrepresented students, empowering them to obtain a college education. At the national level, she serves on the board of the Chair Academy for Leadership Development and Higher Education Research and Development Institute Advisory Board. She is also a member of the Executive Board of the President's Academy Summer Institute of America Association of Community Colleges. Whereas, Atlantic Cape Community College announced the upcoming retirement of Dr. Barbara Gaba, whose contract concludes on June 30th, 2026. Dr. Gaba, who has led the college for nearly 9 years, will retire following a distinguished 40-year career in higher education. As the first female and the first African American president at the college's history, Dr. Gaba's leadership has transformed Atlantic Cape Community College in lasting ways. Under her direction, the college secured millions of dollars in grant funding to support student success initiatives and infrastructure improvements, expanded academic programs, and deepened community partnerships across Atlantic, and Cape May counties. Now, therefore, we, the sworn members of Hamilton Township Committee in Mays Landing, New Jersey, do hereby honor Dr. Barbara Gaba during Black History Month in perpetuity as established this second day of February in the year of 2026. And you were my pick to honor. Of course, it's the entire Hamilton Township Committee, but you was the one that I selected to do this. We're going to miss you, but we thank you for everything that you have done in our township and Atlantic Cape Community College. All right. And then Dr. Gabba, would you like to have something to say?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, I want to thank the Hamilton Township Committee for this recognition. I'm very humbled and honored to receive this, and I'm very, very honored to be here. And although I'll be approaching retirement after almost 10 years at Atlantic Cape, the time has gone very, very fast. But we have been from the very beginning committed to serving the residents of Mays Landing, Atlantic City, Atlantic County, as well as all those in Cape May County as well. And I think it's appropriate that during Black History Month, we recognize the diversity of all the students, faculty, and staff that come to our college. And we appreciate the support of the Township Committee, and we will continue to do the work. Although I will be stepping away from Atlantic Cape, I don't plan to be out of the spotlight. I will continue to do what I can to contribute to higher education, because I do a lot of mentoring of young people who aspire to leadership roles. I also plan to be involved in committees and commissions, and I will be still remaining here in Mays Landing. I live across the street from the college. I'm a resident. My heart is here. I love being here. So again, I want to thank you for your support of the college and for recognizing Black History Month and the contributions that African Americans have made to this country and to this city. Thank you.
Oh, yes, she does. Thank you for everything you've done.
You're welcome.
Congratulations. Okay, we have no guest presentations. Addition, deletion of late agenda items, we have none. Early public comment, do we have anybody signed up?
No one signed up.
No, excuse me, ma'am. We don't have these.
What's that?
Yeah, that's in the agenda.
That's in the, just put these in
Yeah,
the
it's
back.
just,
Okay, thank you.
moving on, discussions. Formal action may be taken. Enhancing compliant management and enforcement operations. Mr. Goodman's going to give us a presentation on this.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce Stephen Hartzell, who is our zoning officer and who I worked with in the last year to improve enforcement of zoning violations in that department. He'll be a key element if this plan is approved. I had been approached by the administrator last year about a way to possibly better centralize complaint management, as well as find a way to, move code enforcement more from a reporting mechanism of violations to one that would better engage with the courts and then have an ability to, the overall goal is always to try to gain compliance, but if we have to, go to the courts and, if necessary, issue fines to get people's attention and move them more toward the path of compliance. Here we go. So where it's been in operation today is that the complaint handling system seems to kind of come in from many different channels, and it causes a number of inefficiencies. You know, and there's fragmented enforcement across several departments for things that are, you know, basically municipal-wide. We've also had very inconsistent communications with the municipal court, and a lot of that is due to the fact that we don't have a municipal court that many other jurisdictions do. We share this with the county, and, you know, to say that they're under-resourced to handle these type of violations would be an understatement. Also, we're just kind of recognizing that although we have a pretty good systems management platform for managing this from a software perspective, the ability to, you know, track this information coming out of that system is somewhat limited, and we need better ways to report it out and manage it and monitor it. That being said, you know, the goals are simply just to create a consolidated and unified enforcement process. The departments involved would be, you know, code enforcement, zoning, non-criminal petty offenses that occur, you know, where to require a police officer to go out and call it out. We can go talk to violators. The idea is to basically start a new role of a municipal-wide enforcement officer, an MEO, to oversee that coordination. And I believe Mr. Hartzell is well qualified to handle that role. We also want to standardize enforcement procedures. We want to be able to create a series of tools that we can send out to the community, you know, setting expectations about standards that are set out in the ordinances. And we also want to find a better way to just improve enhanced interdepartmental collaboration between the groups. First thing we would take is just to find a way to centralize complaint management, have all of these multiple channels coming into one central office. And ideally, this should be through the administrator's office. We would like to set up the creation of a new email address called Citizen Report, which would then route complaints or concerns directly through there. It's centralized. It makes sure that the administrator is aware of any complaints coming in. And then they would get routed down to our office for basically subsequent action and movement. It would create a standardized process for logging and tracking this information, and there is a capability. We don't believe we would roll this out up front, but we believe over time we would be able to add certain tools that are native to the SDL, that stands for Spatial Data Logic, and that is our software. That would allow people to download a mobile web app that would allow them to, you know, submit a complaint. They see something wrong, they can take their phone, take a picture, and send it out to us. It also would be able to enable us to just do better case management of all complaints at once and having one repository for managing those. And we would incorporate, much like we do today in zoning, weekly enforcement meetings for progress tracking of all open violations. As I said, the courts are having to deal with a very, very difficult task of dealing with every single municipality here in Atlantic County. They are ramping up resources, but it's been a big adjustment, and we still see, you know, areas where it could improve. Nonetheless, in the last year, we've improved communication channels with the court directly in the prosecutor's office. We also would like to standardize reporting for fines and expenses that may be associated with with violations. And we would like the municipal enforcement officer to testify using deponing witness affidavits. And what that means is just that someone else, an inspector, can go out into the field and, you know, gather the evidence of violation, but it would be one person using that affidavit from that reporting inspector to go to court and manage its path through the courts. We would again use SDL to report the enforcement side of this as well, the progress and subsequent outcomes. One opportunity that we're starting to take a look at and taking a look at the reports is that in many communities, vacant and abandoned properties can be a source of violations. The good news here in Hamilton Township is that many of those that are vacant and abandoned today are occupied, but when they do become vacant, maintenance is neglected and it can become a problem. In addition, although we have an efficient form for managing the information around these properties, and we would like to do an audit to ensure that all renewals are up to date and renewal fees associated with them. We'd like to be able to compare that with the overall number of Liz Pendon's notice that are registered with the county and match them up to make sure that we're capturing all vacant and abandoned properties as well. The idea is that through this, if we implement these reforms, again, the benefits would be that there'd be a streamlined process for managing complaints and issues. There'd be faster complaint resolution times, increased compliant rates, and improved tracking for monitoring and having tools in place and basically standardizing on penalties and financial fines, essentially. It would improve accountability and transparency. We think in the long run, if we are able to get that get that done, there would be greater citizen satisfaction as well. There are additional duties entailed with this. These are the recommended increase in stipend to support this activity. Again, just note that none of this would actually go into effect or impact the budget until council approves those changes and codify them in the ordinance. So what we'd like to do is obviously obtain a commitment from the stakeholder department heads around the concept. We would create and finalize a project plan and timeline to support all this work. We believe we've identified the how to essentially fund for this and budget for it. There is some system upgrades that have to happen. There would be training that we'd have to put in place as well if we're going to be leaning more heavily into interdepartmental collaboration. We've already consulted with our township solicitor who's taken a look at this and has advised that it seems to be compliant with existing standards and state statutes as well. We also think on rolling this out, it would take if we take time, that we should probably have a public awareness campaign that would be outbound to the residents and advise them that, they have concerns, this is the way to get them addressed. We would also just, put in place a management tool to just evaluate where we are on a quarterly basis, see where we're succeeding, see where we need to improve things, and make changes along the way. At the end of my presentation. If there are any questions I can entertain on behalf of Mayor and Council, please feel free to ask.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Just when would this start?
You essentially have control over the timing of this. Nothing can happen until we codify and change. What's the name of the statute? Right. That and. We would also, if you're intending to go in that direction, we would like to take that time and start working on some of the tools that we would like to get put in place so we hit the ground running.
So before we do anything, you have to reach out to the departments and discuss with them?
We've brought this forth this evening to have a discussion first with town council and get their feedback first, and that should follow.
Anybody else? I'd just like to say this is something that I don't have to tell Brett. Brett hears from me all the time when I take my rides around town and see things going on and different businesses that aren't taking care of their properties, trash issues, and people remember I guess about a month and a half, 2 months ago, that video that popped up about the Hamilton Mall, and it showed trash and things, and there's signs that had people spray painted on their signs, and then they go by and there's 50 shopping carts in the back, and those are all things that that they would get written up for, and it kind of goes nowhere. Sometimes they get on it quickly, sometimes it just kind of sounds like it kind of lingers. Central Municipal Court doesn't really do anything to move these things along, to get them cleaned up, and it's just frustrating to me knowing that something was said about this. Letters were sent or violations were sent to these properties. They didn't do anything, and then somebody comes along and takes a video, and if they did what we asked them to do, it wouldn't have looked as bad, and it's a black eye for the whole township. So this is something that I think we need to do. And it's not the township or me coming after, the resident, but there are residents out there that, they let their property go, and it does become a hazard because you'll get rats, you'll get mice. Cats will start living there, and then somebody who lives next door has to put up with this. So this is just a way to try to get things cleaned up. The one on Monmouth Drive, it took us years to get that cleaned up, and that was just an eyesore for that neighborhood. And I think this is something that will help streamline this. It'll put somebody more responsible for making sure that things get done. And then also, I think it's going to be a stepping stone towards us, maybe sitting down with the county, with the county municipal court, and finding a way to move these things along the way they should be. I know Committeeman Cheek here had talked to a Carver Township's mayor, and they have the same problem. I've talked to other municipalities. This is the problem with getting this stuff cleaned up. So maybe this is a way to get this stuff moving. So I think kind of what we're looking for from committee is this something we want to move forward with and get this ball rolling? Everybody? Yes?
Yeah.
Very good.
We'll get working on this immediately and coordinate through the administrator on the timing. Thank you.
Robert, Steve, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Moving on, B, vacation of a portion of Penny Lane.
Mayor, if I may, Township received a request for a vacation of a small piece of Penny Lane. In front of Township Committee is a colorful drawing of a map that we provided in your packet. And upon reviewing that, we had our team put together. We met with the Township engineer as well, who went out to the site, took a look at that portion. And a large portion of Penny Lane that's undeveloped is in the wetlands. Part of it's in the Great Egg Harbor River. And the recommendation of the Township Committee is that it may be beneficial to the town rather than just vacating a small portion at this time, vacate a much larger portion. Based on the map, the way Penny Lane runs, there are adjacent property owners on one side. On the alternate side between the Great Egg River and that street is township property. So on the flip side, we own the entire portion of the wetlands. So what we'd like this evening, with the Township Committee wishes to do so, is give us authorization to reach out to the adjacent property owners on the other side of Penny Lane, gauge interest to see if there's any objection with vacating a larger portion. Because if we're going to do so, we'd like to do so all at one time rather than multiple pieces, which obviously incurs additional cost. So we'd like to be able to send out letters to those adjacent property owners to see or gauge their interest in vacating Penny Lane at that point.
Questions or comments?
Sure, I have a question. So, will the property owner pay taxes on this portion of Penny Lane if it's vacated?
That's a good question. So typically on the vacating of a street, when the portion's vacated, half of the street goes to one side, half of the street goes to the other side. There is a mechanism that we did a lot of research on that would allow the entire portion of the street potentially to go to the adjacent property owner. That's what most likely we would be looking to do so with a case like this. So the answer is yes, that portion would go to the adjacent property owner, which would then go into the tax rolls.
Thank you.
So what do you need from us?
It's only one for discussion, permission, authorization to move forward to be able to send out letters to the adjacent property owners, just to gauge interest to see if there's any objections. So I would ask for a motion, a second, and a roll call.
If just one property owner doesn't want to do this, will that kill it?
That might be something that we would discuss based on the objection and the nature of the objection and the reasonability behind it, but I wouldn't know until an objection came in if it did.
How many is it? 13 property owners?
Yeah, there's more than a dozen property owners.
This is just moving forward, not vacating it.
Correct. It would come back in front of Township Committee with a specific portion if there were objections. So we'd be looking to vacate it.
So the 13 owners haven't been notified yet?
Not as of yet.
Okay. Basically, with this, they would be notified.
It would put them on notice
Yeah.
so that we have the feedback from the adjacent property.
I did not know we would be doing a vote. One of the property owners is my goddaughter. Do I need to?
I think it would be in your best interest to do that then. Yes. And for the record, you're not making a decision on whether or not.
Right,
you're
we're just
vacating
sending it
the
out.
street, just to be able to send the letters to gauge interest as well. But thank you for the question.
So do I have a?
I'll motion to move forward with
I second it.
notifying the property owners.
I have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Abstain.
4 yes, 1 abstention. Motion carries.
Okay, moving on. Establishing a rent leveling advisory committee, updating short-term rental ordinance, and creating a lease registration program. Mr. Solicitor.
Thank you, Mayor. So on this topic, it was Committeewoman Thompson that brought to our attention, asked us to look into the possibility of a rent control board here in Hamilton Township. So myself and the Director of Community Development, Mr. Goodman, who just gave a presentation, who has a lot of experience in this area from prior employment, worked alongside of me to start doing some of the initial research and what rent control, rent leveling may look like here in Hamilton Township. We had a subcommittee meeting a few weeks ago, and we discussed a lot of different aspects of what it may look like, legislation that has been passed, legislation that has been pending on this issue. We pulled a lot of the ordinances and looked at a lot of the neighboring municipalities that have rent control ordinances or boards, as well as throughout the state, and a lot of the different complexities and the pros and cons of what rent control may look like in a municipality like Hamilton Township. And that includes everything from the process of enacting it, some of the steps that we may take that fall just short of rent control board, as well as the substantial costs that would come along with establishing a rent control board. And because of the complexity, the subcommittee had asked a poignant question of how do we get the residents here in Hamilton Township more involved in that decision-making process. And the way to do so, if committee would like to, is through what's called an advisory committee. Advisory committee is something like a subcommittee, but allows the township to put together a group of individuals where the specific residents would have the ability to participate in the due diligence process. In other words, the footwork or legwork and moving something like that forward, and giving a report back to committee. They don't have decisive power, which means they don't decide whether it's going to move forward, but they put together all the information so that can be presented in one uniform package back to Township Committee. And if committee decided to create an advisory committee, that would be put in place. The round of how many people would be put on there would be decided by committee. The appointments would be made by the mayor who wanted to move forward. Some of the different subjects that we looked into would be things like updating our short-term rental ordinance, which is something that we're taking a look at, or creating a lease registration program, all the way up to the establishment of a rent control or rent leveling board. So it's on before committee for discussion, as well as whether committee wants to move forward with establishing a rent control advisory committee.
Okay. Do we have any questions, comments?
Right, I have plenty. So during our discussion, I have a question. Why are we updating? We were discussing about inspections. So one of the questions I have is why are we updating the inspections that will require a 5-year review period?
The inspection period, that was one of the issues that we discussed here in Hamilton Township, is rental properties under our current code are usually inspected upon either turnover or the sale of the rental properties. But one of our concerns that we discussed was with long-term tenants. So if an individual lives in the rental unit for a period of time, they could go years without being inspected because there's no turnover, there's no new tenant. So that was something that we discussed looking into as well. And that centers around safety and a lot of the issues that we've had here in New Jersey.
Thank you. Another question is, what's the thought process behind requiring the registration of leases with the township?
We had talked about some of the new legislation that has come down the pike here in New Jersey, and there's a lot of other pieces of legislation that are sitting both at the Assembly and the Senate level. And the thought process behind a lease registration would allow, if the committee chose to move forward with an advisory committee, having a bank of some of the leases here in Hamilton Township would allow us to be able to do due diligence, and if any of the new legislation that the state has proposed comes down the pike, it would give us a footwork of moving forward so that we weren't scrambling if that legislation kind of was amended or enacted.
Another final question is, how do you believe this proposal would make code enforcement more efficient than it is now?
We just had a presentation on code enforcement, and it's always any municipality's goal to make code enforcement more efficient and streamlined. The purpose is obviously behind code enforcement is to make sure that the residents here in Hamilton Township have a safety, and that would be the goal behind doing this. And being able to potentially review rent control and making sure that it's affordable here in Hamilton Township.
Thank you so much.
So what other municipalities in this county have this?
So in terms of a rent control board, Pleasantville was one that we looked at. I believe they just enacted their rent control board, I believe in 2024. I had the opportunity to speak to the administrator out there, and they're just getting underway. Atlantic City has a portion of it. Egg Grove Township had a rent control board that they just dissolved, I believe, back in December of last year in 2025. Some other municipalities do have some sort of quasi rent control board or rent leveling board that's not in what I would say the effect where it's not being enforced. Hamilton has one as well. So there are a few municipalities here in South Jersey that do have rent control boards.
So why would Egg Harbor Township dissolve?
I had some initial discussions with the solicitor out there as well. My understanding is they dissolved it because of legislation that had just come down here in New Jersey that put a rent cap on certain properties. And one of the difficulties that we have with rent control boards is jurisdictional issues. And to kind of not go into a very long story about jurisdictional issues, but there are different mechanisms proposed throughout the state of New Jersey that has the ability to have oversight of rents and leases and things like HOAs. We had an HOA issue come up not long ago here before Township Committee, and DCA in the state of New Jersey has sole jurisdiction over HOA. So it would be something that, although we could mediate or help facilitate a resolution to people that wanted to come in and participate, we wouldn't have an enforcement mechanism to be able to say this is an absolute concrete resolution. That being said, also landlord-tenant court and Superior Court, they obviously have the ability to oversee things. Superior Court would have jurisdiction over us. So it's my understanding that without knowing the absolute nuances of Egg Grove Township, that a lot of those difficulties and costs that came along with the rent control board after having it for a substantial period of time was enough to be able to pull it back because there's a very large administrative overtask over the rent control board. If that answers the question.
Yeah, so with that cost, I guess it would have to have its own solicitor and own, correct?
That's correct. So depending on how the rent control board is set up, typically you would have to have a solicitor oversee that. A secretary, there is an administrative cost comes along with it, and it can be substantial to have a rent control board. That's correct.
Now, do we follow anything here now? Like, I know we don't have a rent control board, but do we follow anything with rent? Like, does the state say something or mandate something, or?
There isn't a blanket oversight of the state as of yet. There is legislation that's proposed out there that is still in the Assembly and the Senate that's going to say there's specific registration cap, but there isn't anything specific except for a legislation that just came down recently that had for specific manufactured home sites that have a specific cap in there as well that's overseen by DCA.
Anybody else?
I just have a question. I know we've had a couple people to come here and talk about they wanted the township to do something in reference to the prices. But what I'm understanding, a lot of times people own the property, but they don't own the land. So there's a different, element here that we're dealing with where the people are, I'm not saying being forced out, but we have no control over it because they don't own the land. How would this board, will we have any regulation with that?
So you mean like, for example, like a mobile home park?
Like a mobile home?
So that was a piece of legislation that just came down that I don't foresee solving the board, from my understanding is that there is a specific rent cap for those manufacturer site properties. So that was the piece of legislation that had looked at this concept and set a specific range in there. So that legislation is enforced statewide. So that's already in place.
That's by the state, though.
That's by the state.
So it wouldn't be regulated by us because it's already done by the state.
That's already set by the state.
And my second question, how much would this cost if we were to go along with this?
On the lawyer, so it's hard for me to set the prices, but in terms of my research, especially the solicitor and the administrative cost, it could easily excess $100,000 a year, let alone the startup cost. I know Mr. Goodman had worked in the past in another municipality, so he might be able to speak to it a little bit more directly because he helped establish that one, but it can be substantial in my research as well. If I may defer to Mr. Goodman, is that accurate?
And who would pay for it? Taxpayers.
And you feel kind of that's why Egg Harbor Township dissolved? I mean, in your opinion?
I'm sure that was
Money?
one of the factors. I mean, anytime you have substantial costs like that, there's always a weighing of the benefits you provide to the residents of your municipality, and ultimately the cost to the taxpayers as a whole. I mean, that's usually with most decisions outside of absolute safety concerns.
And also from what I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, a entity comes forward, wants to increase rent, the rent control board would approve or shoot it down. That entity, if it's a larger entity, is not just going to walk away and say, okay. They would then file suit, or what would be the next step if they weren't happy with what the rent control board said? Would they?
There's always an appeal process that is built into any ordinance for decision, but any ultimate decision could then be appealed to the Superior Court through litigation. So that's always a concern. There's always inherent costs with that as well, of course.
Would that make the rents increase, or would the rent control advisory board be responsible for how? Because the rents here are expensive.
That's
Everywhere. It's not just Hamilton Township. It's everywhere.
That's a good point, Dr. Witherspoon. That was a discussion that we had, whereas why it's called rent leveling rather than just rent control. So there's a misconception that a rent control board just lowers rents. Sometimes that's not always the case. And I know here today, obviously, with the state of things here, the cost of living, rents are obviously very high, but there's a chance that when you review certain leases, especially across the municipality, there could be individuals where the lease is under what the norm is, and then therefore the rent would go up rather than down upon review of the lease and the recommendation by the board. So there could be a long-term tenant where we review the lease and make a determination that they're being undercharged rather than overcharged, and that probably would be a rare circumstance, but there is a chance because it's rent leveling rather than just rent control.
Just one more question. We have a lot of homeowners here, and it's different from like Elaine City and Pleasantville, an urban environment. I'm not saying it's not needed. I'm just saying, what is the home ownership versus the rental property?
That was something that I spoke to. I think it was the administrator of Pleasantville that had a specific percentage. That was something they looked into. Now, I'm not aware of what the percentage is here in Hamilton Township. That would be something that we obviously would look into before.
Robert, did you have that in our meeting?
I'd compiled data from the American Census Survey to rely on data to figure out, based on the number of identified household units, that's inclusive of homeowners as well as rental units, and then the number of rental units. We're closer to the area, and it depends on what point in time you take a look at it. It's anywhere from 20 to 30% of all households here are rentals. I think the one thing that kind of surprised me, at least, and then I shared that with the subcommittee, was how many of these are self-reported short-term rentals. And the impact of that is that it means that there's housing available, but it's not available on an annual basis. Obviously, with more supply, it's more moderating on rental prices. So it's kind of creating a structural impediment for moderation in rental prices. And that's one of the reasons why we started taking a look at possibly looking at our short-term rental ordinance for revisions and reforms. But in terms of getting back to Council Witherspoon's question, there's a significant rental population here, and it's in a very narrow band and number of units. We have 2,021 residential rental units here in the township that are what we consider UCC class rental enterprises. There's anything that's 1 to 4 units can come under the discretion of individual home ownership, and we wouldn't have much jurisdiction there. But those that are commercial enterprises, if this is the direction council wants to go, it would apply to those type of units.
So if it's 20 to 30%, you're saying about 70% of Hamilton Township are homeowners. The other 30% is rentals.
Yeah, I don't want to split hairs, but that's a good general way of putting it. But there are distinctions even within that class which impact the total number of units, and I don't want to belabor it here. It's more workshop type stuff, but I can certainly walk you through it and what it means.
And encourage your question, I believe Pleasantville said that there were more than 40% for Pleasantville.
About 40% homeowners.
40% rentals.
40% rentals.
Earlier, you stated that the state basically has jurisdiction over, say, a mobile home park. In the case of, just say, the fairways where they own the house and not the lot, does the state have oversight on that?
To be quite honest, I don't know the specifics of that development, but it sounds like it could be something that I can look into the specifics to determine whether they fall into that classification of that legislation. But I'd have to be able to take a look at specifics of the development.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good question because a lot of those people who own their homes don't own the lot.
They don't own the lot.
And they're paying excessive, like $1,000 for the lot. And they're going up all the time. So they're paying for the mortgage. And then there's a separate fee.
They told me that every transaction, it's a 55 plus community. So every time that house turns over, the lot rental goes up substantially.
That's what they said. But they blame the township for that.
Yeah. Why don't
They
we look
do.
into that?
Yeah, that's something that needs to be looked into because they're blaming us for the taxes, for the amount that's going up. But I do know people who live in Fairways, and they're telling me that they're paying $1,000 for their lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was told.
I'll coordinate with Administrator and Mr. Goodman as well. We can look at that specifically.
Thank you.
So I guess what we're looking for here is it's a couple of things. We want to create an advisory committee, and we want to look at and update the short-term rental ordinance, and do we want to create a lease registration program? I mean, are we wrapping all this into one?
I don't know that we would wrap it all into one. We kind of gave examples of what if you created an advisory committee, what would be essentially the first task for an advisory committee to kind of look into a development report and say this is what we should consider moving forward in the first steps in doing that. But I guess for this evening's purpose, what's in front of the committee is whether you want to establish a grant leveling advisory committee to start that process with the input from the residents.
I just have one more question. I know that there's legislation out there that we have to build more low-income housing, affordable housing. Thank you, sorry, because that's a difference.
Yeah,
There's a difference. Affordable housing. Would that regulate that as well?
that's a completely different proponent in the state. We're obviously going through that process as well because it's every 3 years. So they could essentially be separate issues.
That would be a separate issue
That's correct.
from the affordable housing
Yes.
to the rentals. Okay, thank you.
So one other, so the creation of the committee, so they would bring back information to us
Correct.
on how the feel is out there with the rental properties and
So the advisory committee essentially is a vast, different degree of stakeholders. It would be 2 members from Township Committee, and then you would have a set amount of members from here or residents here from Hamilton Township. So the suggestion is to be able to diversify that as much as possible. So a certain amount would be homeowners, a certain amount would be renters, a certain amount would be landlords. So we'd have the opportunity to have this discussion in a setting, get whatever information, almost like a workshop, to be able to present back to you, give you hardcore numbers and facts and suggestions, hopefully make decisions. So, for example, the lease registration program might be something that we look into in the advisory committee if we choose to create that. Say this would be our suggested process, and this would be an administrative aspect, and this might be the costs that are involved with it, so that you have a report in front of you saying, yes, here's the complete picture. We want to move forward with that, or we do not want to move forward with that, but we have a lot more information. Because obviously rent control is something that's substantially complex. As the mayor said, there's 3 very small issues in a big field of this that are in front of you today. It's too much to kind of wrap into one project to make a single decision, especially with the inherent costs that are involved.
So we done this, the rents that are now, like, would they be grandfathered, or is this going forward with new rents, or how would we regulate rents that are already established?
Those are a lot of the issues and legalities and stuff that we would have to kind of do our due diligence on and take a look at and be able to pursue what may be appropriate or what might be fitting for here in Hamilton Township. So I have a loaded question on what may or may not be into a rent control ordinance if that ever came before.
Because I know people that live in Hamilton Green and live in different places, depending on what size unit they have is what they're paying. So I know people who pay like $3,500 for their rental unit, and then for 1 bedroom it's like $1,700. So if we had this advisory board, would we be able to control a private owned? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I just want to make a clarification. So what we're creating is a committee that kind of do due diligence and research, not the board itself.
Not the
So
board
they're-
itself.
Yeah, they're 2 separate entities completely. So the advisory committee is just a committee of, like I said, 2 committee members and 5 to 7 individuals or residents here in Township that kind of represent the different aspects of what might comprise of a rent control board to be able to do the homework here, the legwork of saying, these are the issues, these are the issues that the community is facing, here's our recommendation moving forward, or what might be done, working with the administrative team here to be able to come back and present to you and say, for example, we think you should update your short-term rental ordinance. We believe that a full-fledged rental board is appropriate, and here's why. Here are the specific numbers. Here are the percentages. Working with the administrator and director of community development of putting together a proposal. If a rent control board is something that the advisory committee recommends, here would be the costs that are involved. Because there's a lot here that will allow you or allow the committee to be well informed before decisions are made. It's a large task, a large undertaking to create a board like this.
Right now, we can't really be compared to Atlantic City and Pleasantville because we're different.
Exactly.
So, do we have any other municipality like us that are, we know just found out Egg Harbor Township just got out of it? Do we have any other municipalities similar to us that have rent control?
Great question. That's one of the things that we discussed in front of the subcommittee. I thought Egg Harbor Township was probably the most similar municipality here in Atlantic County that we would look at in terms of demographics and size. And if because you're right, Pleasantville and Atlantic City don't necessarily mirror here in the percentages and the demographics in Hamilton Township. So if it was something that we created an advisory committee, what we like to do is kind of branch outside of Atlantic County, look down at Cape May, look in Ocean, look in Salem, some of the other South Jersey municipalities to be able to take a look and say they have rent control boards or they had rent control boards. This is what worked and this is why it didn't work. Be able to report back.
There is, Neptune Township has a, something that's similar to Hamilton Township.
And that could be one.
Who was that?
Neptune Township.
Neptune?
Yes, like they have a 30% rental rate. 28,000 residents, similar to us.
Now, would this committee bring back like hard numbers
That would be the goal. That would be
of how much this is going to cost?
looking at the administrative. So if we were to propose whatever was,
I know you said 100, but
and that was kind of a very ballpark.
Yeah.
But if it was something where it was proposed that this is what we were doing, this is what we were looking to do, obviously like any other presentation, like the one Mr. Goodman just put on, Township Committee would need to be apprised of what the numbers would look like, what the administrative costs were before anything that was approved. So the amount of personnel, the cost, and everything that would be involved, we would be something. If committee chose to designate us to move forward with something like that.
So we really can't make a decision because we don't have the hard numbers.
Why would we need Why would we need hard numbers to make a decision to create an advisory?
create the committee.
Not the committee, just the advisor. So
The
I thought
advisory
your assumption was for a rental control board.
Right.
There would be, outside of the research and the administrative internals and obviously legal fees, there wouldn't be much of it going to the advisory.
Or just advisory committee, no rental.
Again, the advisory committee is something that just reports back to the township committee that they don't have a decisive mechanism. They're not making.
So if the advisory committee comes back and said, okay, this is this, this is this, the committee then could say, you know what, we're not going to go any further. Correct?
It would be up to township committee.
Right,
how
that's
far
what I
they
mean.
went, or how far they didn't go. It would just be reports and again the legwork and the diligence, the information that comes back to township committee. The township committee has the ultimate say whether what happens or doesn't happen. That's correct. They don't have decisive powers.
Now, the advisory committee, I'm going to assume, is going to lean on certain paid professionals and people that work for the township.
Who's going to steer it?
That's going to cost money. Mr. Goodman, I'm going to guess 10. Are you going to do this as a favor to us, or are you going to charge?
No charges.
Honesty comes along down the pike. So the professionals are going to get paid per hour. That's correct.
Mayor, we're advising that ex officio members, non-voting but experts in their field, would participate, and that would also include our affordable housing coordinator as well.
I also want to note that Mr. Goodman did this in the town he came from, and he said it was very successful. So I want to put that on the record.
Understood.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I'm just asking. This is new. I didn't know this was coming, so I'm just asking questions and doing my due diligence. I'm not saying it's nothing that shouldn't be. I just want to make sure that I'm asking the right questions for us to go forward.
And I would just simply clarify, my statement was based on, I showed up at that job 2 days after they passed it, and they said, go get it. So we were able to craft it from the very beginning and do exactly what they envisioned. So in that sense, it was a qualified success. Nonetheless, what you're talking about is something that's not just passed or formed. You're talking about something where you're really looking for more information. You want this advisory group, a representative of the community, to tell you what they think about it. And even then, their only end goal deliverable is just to give you a report what they think is the right thing to do. And even then, you can choose to do something different. You accept some, reject it out of whole, embrace it wholly. Discretion is entirely with the elected body.
With the advisory committee, would they give a percentage or a breakdown on what landlords are basically privately owned, other ones that are national accounts that will be taking us to court and doing everything else as far as our recommendations would go?
The ownership was based on the information that we would look into.
From what little I can say so far, there's no there are no super large institutional owners of the 2,000 units that are here today.
I think probably Fairways is probably.
There are
biggest
certainly
one.
ones that are organized and well-funded, and, they can represent a challenge if they wish, but I would just advise those are the people you want to invite to the table for an advisory group.
Yeah, I know the one on Clone Avenue, there's 475 apartments.
Right,
They have a lot at stake.
they do.
So, can I ask another? So, is there a limit, or can we set a number of how much it's going to cost using our professionals to do this? I'm just throwing a number out there.
For the advisory committee?
Yeah,
meeting?
for the advisory, because like you said, they're going to lean on some of our professionals. It can't be like umpteen thousands and thousands of dollars. Is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if we can establish a
Not to exceed.
not to exceed.
Use
or,
Ken at, if and when we have to.
If I may offer a practical suggestion, giving a time frame in which the report must be done would automatically limit the number of resources that could be applied.
Okay. And also it'll make us move.
Well, people can argue endlessly. I'm not trying to say that to be funny, but people feel strongly about things. They can carry an advisory group like this out into months, if not years. That's not the objective. I think if you put a time bound on when you expect to see a report back, that in itself would it would keep us all very focused on what we bring to the table, including.
Completely honest, I'm concerned about finding people to even get on this advisory committee. That might be a little bit of a lift.
So, if I may, if the committee decided to create an advisory committee, I would suggest maybe 7 members be able to appoint, potentially 2 landlords, 2 renters, and then 3 other residents here of Hamilton Township that would be homeowners typically, so that you have homeowners represented, landlords represented, and tenants represented as well, along with 2 committee members and then the professionals.
Yeah, but about 11 altogether, I guess, would be, yeah.
Committee? What's your pleasure here? You want to create this advisory committee?
I would like to create the advisory committee. I would like to be a committee woman on it. I think it's good for Hamilton Township has one of the highest rates of rent in the whole Atlantic County. And to me, we're talking quality of life. We're talking people that are living in apartment dwellings that might need these inspections we were talking about. Just we're saying once every 5 years. We're also saying that we're sharing information. We're bringing the landlords, developers to the table, and we're trying to bring the whole community to the table to give people a better quality life. And then we're also saying that it's information gathering, and then we'll put it in front of the committee. And then if we don't want it, then we don't have to accept it. But I don't think it hurts to talk.
This was brought to us before. This is not the first discussion of this. And it was turned down, but I don't remember why.
If I remember correctly, it was discussed. I don't think up here on the dais. There was a lot of legislation at the state level that looked like it was going to move, and obviously a little bit did, but other ones didn't. Or they are, I mean, they're not dead.
No, for the record, there's at least 3 or 4 that I'm aware of that are very substantial that could alleviate the need for a rent control board.
3 assembly, 1 senate, and then they would have to be harmonized.
So
Even if they made it out of
Let me
committee.
ask this question. Would it be something, I mean, because I know that we've passed resolutions in support of various bills. Maybe we look at these bills and see if it's something that we would like to pass a resolution in support of the bill and send it to the Senate and Assembly. Help out that way. I'm not speaking for everybody, but it's something that we can look at and vote on if we want to do something like that. Obviously, that's not what we're talking about here, but I'm just saying that's something that maybe could help things out if it's something that we think would help move those bills forward and make it so that we don't have to have a rent control board that's going to cost our taxpayers all this money. We'll spread the cost out over the whole state. Our taxes will still go up, but only this much instead of this much.
Unfortunately, I would just, and forgive my cynicism, but it's born of experience, but if the state passes legislation, it will operate as an unfunded mandate down onto the municipalities in terms of administration. So just something to keep in mind.
Wow, thanks.
Well, didn't mean to, it's just a reality, and we've seen enough of it.
I was a little more optimistic.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I don't disagree. You're right. You're absolutely right.
If they done that, because that would give
several times.
That would give us the impact of what we would have to do if it was made.
It would, and when we met in committee, we really painfully worked together to identify those things that we could do outside the scope of that legislation that could impact us, eventually. And who knows if it'll ever get out of, we don't even know if it'll ever really get out of committee. These are just proposed bills. But there were things that we could take if this is the direction you want to go in, and really that's kind of the scope of what, the advisory group should consider the greater legislation, but we looked at things that we could do if you wanted to do them that aren't really included in those proposals, so, and may have an impact.
Okay. So, I know Committeewoman Thompson's for it. Anybody else? Is this something we should do a roll call vote on to see if we want to move forward with this?
If you wanted to move forward with it, yes. My assumption is that because you need to name specific individuals or residents to the advisory committee, that knowing it's your board meeting, you might want to do that at the future meetings if you have names.
Before we do a roll call, can we have a do not exceed number?
I think, like Robert said, make it a
Time bound.
timeline.
Time bound.
Okay.
Right. And that will automatically
Let's
limit.
say the timeline starts after the advisory committee is established, because it may take some time to get people to commit to do this.
It's not that I'm not for it. It's just that when you get something like this today, it's not like that you had a lot of due diligence to research or ask additional questions. It's like a rush, and I would just like to see some of I'm not against it. I just would like to see what some of the legislation that was coming down, that's out there. How would that impact this if we did this? That's all I would want to know.
If I may respond, so the Township Committee would like, during the subcommittee, one of the things we had was 4 or 5 pieces of legislation that were coming down. I could obviously put them together in a package, provide the Township Committee with little legislative summaries as well, and some of the history, because some of those bills have been what I would call stale, that have been around for a year or two, and they just keep getting older from session to session. Some of them are newer, and they impact different parts of what rent control could look like. So I could absolutely put together a little presentation for you if you'd like.
I would like that. Because you said that some legislation did come down that impacted Egg Harbor Township to back out.
And I can give you a copy of that as well.
I would like to have just to look at it just before I make an informed decision.
So what does that move till the next meeting?
Can we do it to the next meeting? How long do you think it would take?
Table it
Table it?
to the next meeting?
Yeah, till we get the information. Do you think that's enough
Somebody
time?
want to make that motion?
Again, you can table the formation of an advisory committee, so it should be a motion and a second, and a roll call to table it if you'd like.
Yeah. I would like to table it until the next meeting to get the information to make sure how we would be impacted, if at all.
So just to be clear, for the next meeting, you want the legislative summaries and what's kind of pending out there. So you can have
What's pending and what was passed.
Yes, I can do that.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of tabling this?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
You have your marching orders. For free, right?
For the record, no, Mayor.
Thanks, Ken.
The
Thanks, Robert.
He has a pen.
The
Yes.
information, Ken, the information for that EHT is going to be in that information too?
Yes, I include that as a That's correct.
Thank you. Good? Okay, moving on. Public hearing adoption of ordinances, we have none. Introduction of ordinances, we have none. Award of bids, contracts, change orders, we have resolution for change order final bid 2025-02. Old River Road Stormwater Improvements to M&O Excavation LLC for an increase in the amount of $16,000. Our engineer is not here, he is sick, he apologizes, but, Brett, you want to go over this a little bit? I mean, I have an email that I saw.
So the original contract was for $86,915. The project was to install a stormwater pipe from Old River Road out to the tidal portion of the Great Egg Harbor River. The contractor, when he was digging within the roadway, hit 2 additional gas mains that we were unaware of. They had to excavate around those gas mains. They changed the type of material that they were going to place within the roadway for the crossing. They had to add additional backfill and dewatering because of a recently abandoned water main in the roadway. And it forced a change order of $16,000. I looked at this, I think all the work that they completed is a reasonable price. What they did.
Motion?
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second.
Can I just comment?
You absolutely can.
So I just looking at the bids for this, actually the 16,000 increase is still under the second bid.
We got an
Yes, it is.
excellent price on this.
Yeah, so you're still under what the second bid.
Absolutely.
bidder- Yeah.
Anybody else? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
6B, resolution authorizing the annual maintenance contract with Pro Phoenix Corp. Not to exceed $70,117.41 for software maintenance and support for the period 1/1/26 through 12/31/26.
Make the motion.
I have a motion.
We already voted on this one.
I'll second.
No, that's a revised, right?
Yes.
What? Yeah. It's a revised resolution, but the fact this has votes already on it.
Right.
Oh, on
Yeah. So what are we revising?
We were revising the amount. So this is, we renew this contract every year. There was an incorrect amount.
Right, so they left the old. Yeah, because, yeah. Sorry. Shanker. He's not here anymore. So they just put instead of changing the names at all. the names were changed.
No, I got that part.
So
You
I
said
had,
we were
well, yes.
revising, so,
So,
because I'm trying to compare. 'Cause
Right.
They gave us the 6B.
right, so
Right.
I had, is it all right if I answer? Say something. So my comment. So I had contacted Brett about a number here.
I see.
They had to change it because this is the old number.
That's the old number.
Yes, this is the new number.
Okay. But we did vote on this before, but we're revising.
Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha.
You voted on it last year. So this is
Right.
an annual, so this is for this year. They just added the last year's vote.
Verbiage.
Okay, I got it.
resolution. So
Okay.
we'll fix that.
All right, that's good.
Okay?
Mhm.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
6C. Resolution to increase the not to exceed limit from 10,000 to 15,000. Special counsel, Archer and Griner. Brett, give us a little background on this.
This is part of a settlement agreement that we, from a couple years back, where the township is obligated to create a future parcel for the extension of New York Avenue if the development behind the Thorn Gardens is ever built. The township is supposed to get reimbursed by the developer if the road is built up to $10,000. Anything beyond the $10,000 is the municipality's responsibility. We've exceeded the $10,000. I spoke with the attorney. They think we'll be under $5,000 more, but we wanted to be on the safe side. We didn't want to have to come back to committee, but we think we'll be good with 15,000.
Why is this taking so long and costing more money?
So this was an eminent domain matter, going back and forth with the two property owners that this is going to impact. Which is, actually, it's not that expensive, to be honest with you, based on what we've seen in the past with attorneys and vacating streets like this. I think it's a reasonable price for the amount of hours that they have involved with this.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Questions, comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Next, consent agenda. Not much.
A through D. Make a motion to move A through D.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Personnel. Resolution appointing members of Mount Laurel Subcommittee. So that would be Township Committee member, the Planning Zoning Liaisons. That's Mr. Aiken, Mr. Cheek. Planning Board Chairperson or their designee, the Township Solicitor. Director of Community Development, the Municipal Housing Liaison, Affordable Housing Council, and Affordable Housing Planner. Do I need a motion? Is this something that I just,
You said this is, okay. I was on this committee last year.
Township Committee.
Okay.
Township Committee.
Where's the new list?
I can read you the names, if you're not sure.
Oh, I see.
sure.
But you see-
Why don't you
see
read
what
the
this is?
names?
See it?
I think that's
Right.
what Dr. Witherspoon was looking for.
So I was just asking if they had a
Oh, the new one.
right,
This is last year's.
right.
Rita will read the names for us.
I'll read the names for you.
Okay.
Okay, so the Township Committee members, Planning Zoning Liaisons, are Committee Member Cheek and Aiken. Planning Board Chairperson is Harry Balicki. Township Solicitors, Ken Warren. Director of Community Development, Robert Goodman. Municipal Housing Liaison is William Johnson. Affordable Housing Council is Eric Nolan, and Affordable Housing Planner is Vince Palestina.
And how often do they meet?
It's as needed. So last year we met twice. They talk about our affordable housing requirements. Basically try to seek units in the township that are applicable, that we could fulfill some of our requirements.
Oh.
Who did you say the planning board chairperson?
Harry Blake.
Okay.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Approvals. Minutes. Regular meeting minutes, January 21st, 2026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Bills, bill list total $4,759,068.01.
Pay the bills.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Question.
Oh, question.
Just page 3. The NREM tax attorney. Professional fees, I'm not against it, I just wanted to make sure what they were for, because it's a lot of.
This is our, for our in-rem attorney, to go through. Right now we have 3 lists of in-rem properties. Basically, taking the properties, doing the title searches, making sure there's no liens on the properties. This way the township can take ownership, possibly resell, get back on the tax rolls.
The reason why I was asking is because it seems so low. But maybe those are just the fees for the. By property.
And many of these are really small properties or vacant land. 99.9% of these are unimproved. There's no homes or any kind of, improvements on them. So it's just vacant land that people haven't paid their taxes on.
That's not the tax, that's just what it costs for that particular.
That might be legal fee,
Because someone's like $12. I'm saying, I know we're not taking nobody's property for $12, people.
They didn't pay their taxes, we will.
For $12? Wow. I'm gonna buy the property. Just joking.
Good. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Reports. Mr. Administrator.
That last snowstorm that we had, that's the type of storm that when you're in public works, that's the storm you don't want. That's the nightmare storm, where it starts off as snow, and you get a couple of 6, 8, 10 inches of snow, 12 inches of snow, and then it starts to sleet, and then it rains for an hour, and then it turns single digits at night, and it freezes. We have 12 public works employees. Full disclosure, we had, I think, 6 contractors out in the developments plowing. Looked around, we went around Egg Harbor Township, Galloway Township. I met with several different administrators, Summers Point, Brigantine, talked about their roads out there. Based on our manpower, Hamilton did a great job. We did have to close town hall. Monday that we had to close town hall, but so did Galloway and Egg Harbor Township. Just to put it in perspective for you, Egg Harbor Township has upwards of 50 public works employees, and Galloway has. I know it's at least 30, but I think they use their utility guys. It's probably another dozen. That was a very long storm, so you have to break the guys out into shifts. Break 12 guys out into shifts. We have 7 sections of the township. Very tough storm. 20 inches of snow would be easier. That, in addition to a statewide salt storage or salt shortage. Just a tough storm. I think all in all, we did a great job, and I just wanted to pass that along. That's all I have.
Can I just ask a question with the salt shortage? I saw your email. When will we get any more salt? We're not. I pray to God we don't have no salt.
We were supposed to get more salt today. The ship that's bringing the salt into the facility in Camden is stuck in the Delaware River because the river's frozen. It's been sitting there since Friday. As soon as that ship docks, we're going to hopefully begin to get some of the 900 tons that we have on order.
We have it on order.
We have 3 orders. And we ordered salt after the first storm. That first storm we had, I think it was an inch or 2 of snow. It was 3 storms ago. So we haven't gotten any deliveries since then. So it's not that we didn't order the salt, they just haven't been delivered. And we're not the only ones that are experiencing this. This is every municipality, the DOT, I reached out to the county to see if they could spare salt. They said they would if we absolutely needed it. We don't absolutely need it. We have enough for another storm. I will reach back out if we absolutely need it.
Very good. Mr. Solicitor. Mr. Engineer. Township Committee members. Dr. Witherspoon.
Yes. I want to say the wreaths across America, the pickup for the wreaths that were put on the veterans' graves on December the 13th. By the time I got there, they had already picked up all of the wreaths. They were fast. It was 14 degrees outside. It was cold. But the dedication of those who went to pick up the wreaths, I thought was good. And ACUA donated a dumpster for all of the wreaths to go to, so that was nice. They partnered with us. I thought that was very, very good. I also attended Atlantic Cape Community College. There was Senator Nick Aselta and his wife Nancy Aselta. They received the Atlantic Cape Community College Athletic Recognition Excellence Award. It was very nice. I didn't know that he coached for years and she was a cheerleader for years and all of that good stuff. And you could watch the game, a little bit of the basketball game. So I did watch a bit of it, but it was very nice to see people get honored while they can see it. And I was very happy to be there to see them receive the award on that day for recognition for the years. They've been doing it for years. I never knew how many years that they did that. Sometimes you have so many people doing good things in your community that you don't really know anything about. It doesn't mean that they're not doing it. It means you don't know it. And so I was happy to be able to attend that. And good, again, say thank you to Peter Esteban and to all of the volunteers who came out on that cold day to pick up all of those wreaths off of those graves. Because, it was cold. So I wanted to say thank you to all of them. That's my report.
My first, I want to give a shout out and congratulations to Reverend John Ash, who is retired now. I attended his last church service and his retirement party, and we had a surprise guest, Congressman Van Drew, showed up with a proclamation and a challenge coin, it was called again. So it was very nice. Reverend Ash was he was my pastor growing up, baptized me. I went through the church there and Sunday school, and Yes, he's a great person, great community person, always involved. And, he'll be around. He's not going anywhere. But that was a great event we had. Second, I wanted to thank our Public Works. I was not actually here for the storm. I headed up north to Vermont, where they got 20 inches. But I heard from peeps out there that, for the storm being the way it is, 1-2 punch with that, snow and sleet and rain, it was tough. So they did what they had to do. I know, you can't make everybody happy, but you made everything, safe as best as you can. So I want to give them kudos and props. Also to our police, fire, and rescue squad. I'm sure they were out there also helping, out with the storm and accidents and stuff like that was going on. So I want to give them a shout out also.
Very good. Committee woman?
I want to wish everyone a happy Groundhog's Day. And let you know that he saw his shadow today. So there will be 6 more weeks of winter. Just want you to know if you didn't know. I'd like to acknowledge our Public Works crew. They did a good job removing the snow that under the circumstances. I heard good stuff about them compared to the other townships, so I really wanted to acknowledge that. And there's still a lot, more that we have to do, but we have to keep them in prayer because they're coming up against the shortages of the salt and different things that we really don't have everything equipped for. So I just want to say that what they've done has been very good. I would like to report that I attended ACIT JV basketball game where the coach is Mays Landon resident, and I want to give him a shout out. So this good job to Nasir Khalil Tucker. I also went to the William Davies School where the elite basketball team was playing, and I want to shout out to Coach Wheeler of that team. Good job. Both of these gentlemen are doing a great job with the youth here in our community here in Hamilton Township, Mays Landon. I also want to wish my son, Michael Thompson, happy birthday. He was a groundhog baby, so today's his birthday. And peace and blessings to everyone in the community always. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Chi.
I have nothing to report after surgery. I've been stuck on the recliner for 2 weeks. And I can't wait to get out and move around.
It's a shame you couldn't shovel any snow, huh?
My wife did a heck of a job.
Yes, she did.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Echo what Eric said about Reverend Ash. Over 60 years he was at that church, longer than I've been alive. Great guy. He did say that he is going to still be involved with hometown celebration and the 9/11 ceremonies. So that's really good news because he does a great job with that. It's hard to find people that'll pick up that ball and run with it, and he's still willing to do that. And it was amazing to see so many people at the VFW for his luncheon. And he's a really humble guy, and when he talked about all the things that he did between, yes, I went to church too. It didn't burn down. I'm still here. I went to the service. It was a great service. And I didn't know all the things that man did. He was huge. He walked down in Selma. He was down there for that walk back in the 60s. He was just so instrumental in so many things with everything. It's just, I was shocked. I had no idea that man did these things. All the different jobs that he had, just overwhelming. So he really deserves this retirement, which I don't think is really going to be a retirement, because he did say that I believe he's going to be giving the sermon on Sunday, correct, Denise? Because of the snow day. So he's retired, but I figure it's kind of like the Rolling Stones, their 15th retirement tour. He's going to keep coming around. And I don't have a problem with that at all. He's a fantastic guy. So, same thing. Public Works, you guys did a fantastic job. I'll tell you what. I got more complaints in the years past than I did this storm, and this was probably the hardest storm you guys had to deal with. Seriously, you really did a good job. Came by my house at 9 o'clock at night, so I quickly had to run out there and clean off the end of my driveway so it didn't turn into big giant ice boulders, which we did. And I drove around town, took a look at things, and then as the week went on, things just got better. And I'm sure this week with the warmer weather, you guys will be out there cleaning up a few things here and there. So you guys really did a good job. I want to give a shout out to, I know that there was a big upheaval about Wrangleboro Road and 322. Made a phone call to Brett. Brett called the chief. The chief sent somebody out there, looked at it, made contact with the DOT. Next thing I know, a couple hours later, there's loaders out there cleaning that up. So it's just, I know the state was behind the 8 ball just like everybody was. I travel out to Swedesboro every day to go to work, and I saw so many spots on 322 where the decel lanes weren't plowed. They didn't get hit until Thursday. In fact, there's still one spot where it's an exit onto the bypass is still a mess. So for them to come out and take care of that out there, I know Brett reached out to the county today about the county's responsibilities over there on Wrangleboro Road. I'm sure they got out there and cleaned it up. And so you guys really did a good job. Police, fire, rescue, everybody, great job. It's great when you go through that and you get more attaboys than complaints. So thank you all very much for making our township look good. You guys and girls did a great job. Thank you very, very much. Just want to touch on that, the salt situation. I know the state puts out saying that there is no salt storage. Well, guess what? I'm in the business. I called my truckers that I know haul salt. They said, Carl, they haven't had salt since 2 Fridays ago. And that's in Camden. There was no salt. So Brett and I talked a couple times today. I reached out to a couple of people that I know to try to get salt all the way down in Baltimore, salt over in Delaware, and I think Brett's still working on it to see if we can get something if it's an emergency and we really need it, because it's going to cost a lot of money to get salt from all the way down in Baltimore. But if we need it, we'll figure out a way to get it. And Brett did a good job reaching out to the county and hopefully getting a hold of some salt if needed there. But let's just hope that we don't have any snow or ice and we get through this. And Chris came up with the idea of using some sand, help some people out there that still have some ice issues. And I just want everybody to understand we have, 168 miles of emergency route, correct? 168 lane miles of emergency route that gets hit first. And that has to be taken care of first before we get to the secondary roads. And like I said, I'll say it again, you did a great job. So thank you very much for all of that. And that's really all for me. Reagan, I'll see you later. Maddie, I miss you and I love you and I hope to see you soon. And we will open it up to public comment. Don't everybody rush down at once. Hey, yes! Oh, I'm sorry.
Time. Just 1 second.
Sure.
Please. No, you can.
No. Come on down. This is new to us. We're trying this
Okay.
clock. You got 5 minutes, but there's really nobody else. So I'm sure if you need more time, we'll take a vote and give you more time.
Try it out.
We're going to try it out. You're going to be the first one.
Right.
I'm a trendsetter.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ascilla Davis. I am a Hamilton Township resident. First, I would like to say, Mayor Patel Lee, thank you so much for, no matter what time of the day I reach out to you, you're always on time. We're reaching back, and whether you can do something or you can't, you don't ignore. And so many phone calls I've been getting about seeing you in the community and just being present. So on behalf of people who have reached out to me, on behalf of my family, on behalf of AWISH, I want to say thank you for all the work you do in Hamilton Township.
You're very welcome.
I do want to speak about the rent leveling advisory committee. That's why I came here tonight. I wanted to speak on behalf of that. Over the past few years, we've seen rent rise much faster than our paychecks, right? As a result, too many hardworking families are being pushed out of the neighborhoods they've called home for years. Teachers, seniors, single parents like myself, and essential workers shouldn't have to choose between paying rent and groceries. Rent leveling is about stability, fairness, and protecting the people who make this community what it is. When residents can afford to stay in their homes, our schools stay stronger, our local businesses survive, and our neighborhoods remain connected. I'm not asking for anything unreasonable, I would think, but to put together a leveling committee to bring forth more connections in the community, I think would be a great idea. So I just wanted to speak about that, and that's all I wanted to say. See, I'm not even past my 5 minutes.
Thank you. Anybody else?
All right, 5 minutes. Good evening, Mayor and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Juan Carlos Belmonte. I'm a homeowner and resident of Hamilton Township, and I'm here to voice my support for the establishment of a rent leveling advisory committee in our community. As we all know, affordability has been an urgent topic of discussion throughout all levels of our government, among both political parties, and most importantly, a topic that is discussed within the families here in New Jersey and Atlantic County. For years, Township Committee has worked to deliver quality municipal services while keeping property tax increases low, helping to provide financial stability for homeowners. Establishing a rent leveling advisory committee would be a continuation of that same commitment to stability and extending the security to some of our friends and neighbors who rent in this town and call Hamilton Township home. Housing is the foundation of stability for families, for seniors, for veterans, for students, and for working people. When rent increases are sudden, excessive, or unpredictable, the consequences ripple outward. People are forced to move away from their homes, children are displaced from their school district, and long-standing community ties are broken. When renters do not receive the appropriate services that were expected within a lease agreement, this too can create instability and stress. A rent leveling advisory committee is a practical, balanced tool to address these challenges. While owner-occupied housing unit rates are not a perfect measure of renter population, census data still provides us some useful insight. Egg Harbor Township has a 15.6% non-owner occupied housing unit rate. Galloway Township has a 20.2% rate. And Hamilton Township has a non-owner occupied unit rate of 29.3%. In other words, nearly 1/3 of Hamilton Township's housing units are likely occupied by renters. Renters pay more compared to Egg Harbor Township and Galloway. While Hamilton Township likely has about twice as many renters by percent of total housing units than Egg Harbor Township, the median monthly gross rent of Hamilton Township is $1,691, according to census, which is greater than both Egg Harbor Township at $1,456 and Galloway Township at $1,619. My takeaway from these numbers is that Hamilton Township, by percent of total housing units, has significantly more renters and they pay more. This makes the creation of rent leveling advisory committee not only reasonable, but prudent in pursuit of housing security. It is also worth noting that municipalities with similar characteristics have already taken this step. Neptune Township in Monmouth County has a similar total population as Hamilton Township at 28,000 residents and a non-owner occupied rate of 29.8%. Other comparative towns which have advisory boards are Lawrence Township and Ewing Township in Mercer County. Hamilton Township would not be an outlier in establishing an advisory committee. As we've heard here tonight, New Jersey's approach to renters and landlords is pretty decentralized. Rental units are exempted from municipal rent ordinances for the length of amortization of an initial mortgage or 30 years after completion of construction, whichever is less. The state also applies an exemption for units receiving Section 8 housing, as they are already regulated through federal and state mechanisms. A rent level advisory committee at the municipal level still provides the residents of Hamilton Township with multiple benefits. provides a seat at the table for homeowners, tenants, and landlords to collaborate with the city to develop a balanced and stable approach to housing for renters within our town. A rent level advisory committee's advice can help ensure that landlords receive a fair return on their investment, while also ensuring renters who are eligible do not experience excessive increases on their rent that are unrelated to capital improvements or inflation. A rent leveling advisory committee provides an organized and structured body where the township can discuss what works best for Hamilton Township. And a rent leveling advisory committee does not lock us into a specific approach, does not immediately determine a specific path forward. It simply provides the benefit of community input so stakeholders of this community can continue to work together like we do on so many issues and consider how to strengthen the security of the people who call Hamilton Township their home. Thank you for your time and all the work Township Committee and the Township workers put into making Hamilton Township safe and affordable.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hello, Mayor. Hello, Councilman. Hello, Councilman and woman. My name is John Wheeler. I'm the president of Hamilton League Basketball Program. I want to take the opportunity to thank Councilman Tracy for attending our game the other day, as well as Dr. Weatherspoon for the continued support. I will hope, that we continue to help the community. Unfortunately, I missed the opportunity to personally give Dr. Weatherspoon a token of appreciation the last time we was in front of each other. I just want to come tonight and express, give a gift as a token of appreciation, a shirt from our program. That's all. Thank you.
You gotta go down and get your shirt.
She can talk.
You know what?
You gotta go down and put it on. You gotta go down and get your shirt.
Okay, I gotta go get my shirt. That is so nice of you. That's so nice of you. Welcome. Thank you. Okay. Can I show everybody my shirt?
You gotta put it on.
No, that I'm not going to do. Oh.
And I hope that the rest of the councilmen, if you ever have the opportunity, we are near our program, end of the season, but I hope y'all can make it as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach Wheeler, when is your the next home game?
Next home game is tomorrow. At the JV play at 6 p.m. Varsity plays at 7:15, and it's against Atlantic City.
And this is
at Davies Middle School.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. And
Yeah,
thank you
I
for
appreciate y'all.
being a coach and
Thank you
volunteering your
again,
time.
Dr. Weatherspoon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else?
Motion to close.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to close meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second. I have a motion to second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.